Hey everyone, welcome to this Guru 90 courseX program. This is Jadash, final year undergraduate at IIT Madras. I'll be explaining Python basics today in this video. So without any further ado, let's get started. I'll share my screen. This is a Jupyter Notebook. Here you can see here. So you can use Google Colab for writing your code and executing it. Right? I'm using Jupyter Notebook because I don't have to then connect to some external network. Alright, and don't do network calls for every cells I run. Okay, so that's why I'm using Google Colab. Jupyter Notebook. It is in my system and I have a GPU, so I don't have any issues. Right, that's why I'm using this this Jupyter Notebook. So yeah, the first thing that I'll explain you is expressions. What is expressions? Expressions are basically symbols that are used in order to do computations of numbers. All right, so the famous ones are this. Let me give you a example. So these are the famous one, this and this and this and this, not this. There are many others, but these are the famous one. So now I'll tell you how to use those expressions. First of all, I have to create a new cell. In order to create a new cell, you can use Shift Enter. Okay. The other way you can use is that there is a button plus on top left corner of your screen. Click on that, and a new code cell will be started. Okay. So I use Shift Enter, and you can also remember that hotkey. It will be very much useful for you. A new cell is created. Now I'll use my expressions. The first expression that I'll use is double divide, and I'll divide by 3. So what does this give? This gives 6, because when you do single divide, it gives you 6 point something 66666. I guess, yeah, 6.66666. So it takes the floor of that value. Okay, so yeah, that's how you use this operator. Now the next thing is you can use 20 power 20. So what this gives you? This gives you the power of that 20. So when you multiply 20 times, this is the answer. Alright, so this is how you find the power. In MATLAB it might be different. So if you have used MATLAB, there how to get the power is like that. Alright, but for in this case we do double multiply in order to get the power. Okay, so that's how you use power. Now all other expression are straightforward. You might have already done in your basic CS courses. I'll get into the next section. Okay, so the next section is storing values. How do you store values or create a variable? So in order to create a variable, you can use equal to symbol. So I'll write the variable name a equal to 20. The best part about Python is you don't have to define the variable type. So even though you don't define the variable type, it can understand that this is integer. Okay, and now if I use quotation and I create a new variable, then it will understand that this is a string. So you don't have to define the variable. You don't have to explain this. I mean, you don't have to define that this is string or this is integer. You don't have to define the type of the variable. All right, so yeah, that's how you define string. Now in order to concatenate two strings, you can use plus. All right, so how to concatenate? Very simple. This is how you create a string. Okay, my name is B. So you can see that if I run this, it will come that my name is Jodash. Okay, if you can't see it, let me magnify it. Okay, so you can see that my name is Jodash. Now the thing is, this my name is Jodash is created because I have already defined B as a Jodash. So that's how you concatenate two string. Now I will try to parse the I'll try to parse this string. Okay, so I'll try to parse this integer into a string. So how do you do that? You have to use parse string. So I will parse a. Okay, a. For that I'll do parse. Okay, not parse, I have to do str. Okay, now I'll pass a and I'll also pass b. Alright, so you can see 20 is joy because 20 is an integer. If I don't parse it, it will give me an error. Okay, so let me see what error it gives. So you can see here that it gives an error that unsupported operand type as for plus integer and string. So I can't concatenate string and integer, what I am doing here actually. So I have to pass that. So for converting the integer to string, I have to use stl function. Now you can see that it is not giving any error. Alright, that's how you use parsing of that's how you parse values or you parse variables. Now in order to parse string to integer, you can do int. Okay, similarly you can use float. Alright, and it will also parse string to float. So that's what you can do in order to parse from one type to other. Okay, now the next thing we will understand Boolean values. So how do you define Boolean values? Here is simple. Here for C or C++ you use small letter t and then you write through, right? Here also it is the same, but here you use capital letter through, and for false you use capital letter false. Okay, so and that's how you define variable, and in order to check whether these two are true, then it gives you false. So that's how you create a boolean. Okay, and you compare both of them. Okay, so now we'll understand what are the comparison operators. Comparison operators can be of two types. One is directly symbols or word. Okay, word type comparison operators. So in order to compare two value, I can use equal to, greater than, equal to, smaller, equal to, greater, smaller, anything. Alright, similar to C or C++ that we have used, but for in this case I will tell you how you can use word type comparison operator and just make your code simpler. So in order to check whether 20 is greater than 23 or 23 is greater than 22, I can use this 20 is greater than 23. Alright, false. Now I'll check whether 20 is equal to 23. So for that 20 is 20. True, but it is giving syntax warning even though it is giving the right answer, because unnecessary I'm doing this. Alright, so that's why it's giving me syntax warning. It's not preferable to use this. Okay, so that's why it's giving me syntax warning. So that's the comparison operators. There are many comparison operators. Let me write them. Equal to, greater, equal to, smaller, equal to, smaller, equal to, and is and or. Okay, is, this is or, this is and. So these are the comparison operator. These are the major comparison operator. All right, so now the next thing we'll understand is inputs. How do you take value from the user? So in order to take value from the user, you can use, so yeah, in order to take input from the user, you can use input function. So let me do name equal to input. Okay, I'll put here what is your name. Okay, I'll put a question mark and I will print that out. My name is handsome, then plus name. Okay, see, now it will ask for input. What is your name? I'll put here Joy dash. So you can see that it shows my name, Handsome Joy. Okay, so that's how you actually create inputs in your program. Now the next thing, we'll understand how to create a function. Okay, how to use def and return. So in order to create a function, you have to use a def argument or def as a keyword, all right, and then put the function name. So my function is taking out sum, and then you use this quotation, sorry, this colon, okay, not normal colon, and then press enter, give an indentation, okay, proper indentation, and then start writing your function a plus b. In order to return your value, you can use return as keyword. Now in order to pass value inside that, you can use brackets and then pass in all the variable. Now my function is created. I'll do sum of 1 comma 2. So you can see it returns me 3, right? That's how you create a function and then you use it in your same IPNB file. Now the function part is done. Now we'll understand local and the global scopes. So whatever value defined here, okay, so a equal to c equal to 1. So even though this function is running, okay, c equal to 1, you can't access c from outside this function. Okay, so if I do c is undefined, because c is defined inside this function, so anything that is defined inside this cannot be called outside this defined thing. So this is the meaning as local and global scope. But whatever is defined outside c equal to 2 can be accessed here. Okay, now I will try to remove this. Okay, that's how 1 2 3 takes to position argument. C is not defined. So C is not defined. We'll try to define it. Okay, it's defined outside this. Okay, it is defined outside this uh, scope. So I'll try to access that, and it gets accessed. So the global variable can be accessed globally, but the variable that is defined inside a function will only be accessed inside that function. Okay, that's the meaning of local and the global scope. Now the next thing is exception, how to use that. In order to use try catch block, you can write like this, try so I have to write something which will break my code. So I'll write 1 divided by 0. Okay, now I'll do exception. I'm accepting the exception as E, and I am printing that. So I'll print the E. No, I'll print the type. What I'm trying to get is the type of that error. Okay, and then I will use the inbuilt function name. Okay, so you can see that it will give me 0 division error because the 1 is divided by 0. Fine, so that's how you handle the exception. There are many other exceptions. You can get the list in the Python's official site. so go through those. You will see how to use this exception. Now the next thing is how to use so what is that? Exception, try catch. Yeah, so these are the things I wanted to explain, the basics part of Python. Alright, I hope you got everything. Okay, these are the basic things. So even though you don't know anything and know only little bit of programming, that is fine for understanding what I have explained today. So we'll recap again. We used expressions, and then you used expression in order to do number in order to do computations of number. Alright, now after that we did storing our values, or we created variables. That is very simple. Directly put the variable name and then give it a value without defining the variable type. Again we did the like comparison operators, and also defined Boolean values. Right, then we used input in order to get name. Okay, what is the name? My name is this, and then we use define function in order to create a function. So that's how you create a function. Just write define and then put the name of your function, then give it whatever value you want to pass inside this function, and then return the computed value of that function. Okay, that's how you use the function. Now the thing I explained in this is scope. So everything that is defined inside this function scope is not accessible from outside this function. Okay, but everything which is defined in the global scope will be accessible from this function. So that's the meaning of local and the global scope. Now the next thing is exception, which I explained here. Just like any other try catch block, it is similar to this. Now here you can use try in order to execute the things which might or might break. Okay, or okay, sometime it might work or not. So, and put exception and exception as E. So I'm just telling the Python code that I want the exception as E, and I'm using that E by taking out the type of that and printing the name. Alright, so it gives me zero division error. So this is all about the basics. Now in the next class we'll know lists and arrays, and we'll also try to do slicing of those. Alright, goodbye, bye.